AI is moving manufacturing from scale to intelligence, predicting failures, optimizing production, even redesigning factories in real time. But adoption is uneven, data is messy, and ROI is still debated. To decode what's real versus hype, I'm joined today by PwC's Vinod Kumar and JSW's Srihari Kaninghat. Vinod, Srihari, very warm welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Hi,
you.
thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
Right. Okay, so let's start with a question to both of you, and this is largely sectoral. And let's start broad, and then get into specifics. India wants manufacturing to be 25% of GDP, and tech, and now AI is seen as a key enabler. I I want you both to tell me how you see this estimate, statement, ambition, and how achievable is this truly when we look at it from the lens of AI. Maybe start with Vinod.
Yeah, no, thanks everyone for that question. No, see, 25% of GDP from current level of let's say around 16-17% is super critical from an economy standpoint. And I think this is not going to happen with business as usual growth. But before I answer the AI part, I must say that there are multiple factors that lead to the growth of an economy. So I would have no compunction in saying that it's not AI alone. But can AI become that source of competitive advantage for India, as some of the other factors were there for economies which went from being developing to developed over a period of time? And the answer to this question is that we have one of the largest base of talent of AI in the world, which is serving the global clients as well as the local Indian manufacturers. Can we harness that capability and redirect that capabilities for the aid of manufacturing companies in India? If that can be done in a very focused manner and at scale, then definitely AI will, let's say, play a very prominent role in in the future. The three critical parts of a manufacturing company, which is the processes, right, the product which comes out of it, and the services that go along with it. All three of these can be enabled by AI. And hence, if the enablement is right, it creates that source of competitive advantage, and hence the ability of companies to add disproportionate value in the economy, and hence become instrumental in helping make that transition in conjunction with other factors that are relevant for growth of manufacturing in the economy.
For us to grow and contribute to 25% of GDP for manufacturing, I think AI is going to be a very critical enabler. It's not that AI is going to one day morning take manufacturing and contribution of manufacturing to the GDP to 25%, but it's going to be a very key critical enabler, and a lot depends on us in the industry to effectively use it, because the amount of scale benefit that AI provides, the amount of reliability benefits that AI can actually augment in a lot of decision making, etc. How well do we harness it within the industry is where I think the value creation opportunity lies.
Sure. Lots to unpack from both your answers. Let's talk about use cases. If Vinod can tell me broadly, industry wide, what are the three use cases that he sees beyond, of course, the three aspects of manufacturing that you mentioned, and then maybe Sri Hari can augment that answer by talking about what's happening at JSW. Starting with you, Vinod.
If we look at manufacturing, the three critical blocks, in my view, are one, which is the manufacturing processes within the four walls of a manufacturing, company. Then the support processes that help run the entire business, and the third is the customer-facing processes, which include an element of front-end planning. In these three cases, if I look at the within the manufacturing domain, we are seeing AI-led digital twins being created, which are in very simple terms replicas of their equipment, machines, processes in a way where you can leverage the information and engineer the data to give you insights which otherwise would not normally be available to take real-time decisions from an improvement standpoint. And these improvements are the classic improvement of throughput, cost, quality, delivery reliability, and safety, right? The second element is the support processes that go together, right? Today, agentic has the power to automate virtually everything, right? So we are seeing the power of agentic in kind of without human in the loop take over the processes, right? So that's another element where you'll see that the human power is directed towards the most important let's say set of activities, and the routine processes are completely taken over by agentic. So that's the support. And the third part, which is, let's say, when we talk about the planning, right? Most of the time, the planning is based on past information, right? We don't get what we call as the demand signaling in the right manner. Today, AI gives you the capability to also get unstructured data, image data in your demand planning in such a way that you can leverage it ahead of the curve and do granular level planning to come out with, let's say, pricing insights, which will give you a definitive competitive advantage vis-a-vis other manufacturers.
Right. Srihari, if you could tell me of some use cases that JSW itself is deploying when it comes to AI. What about agentic AI? Is it being seen on your shop floors to your manufacturing? And what other use cases?
So I think it's a little bit of a transitionary phase for the industry itself, because the way the true generative AI has impacted people's personal spaces, and how it has started helping individuals in the organization to unlock personal productivity is a lot more prevalent today in the manner in which people are using generative large language models in order to create productivity, in whether it is contracting, whether it is creating content, whether it is unlocking productivity about summarizing tasks, and so on and so forth. So those applications are widespread, and that's the first level of broad adoption that we are seeing. But within the core value chain of a manufacturing organization, we see it impacting its potential. In some places, it's kind of evolving as well. And it's at an intersection of where generative AI actually augments the traditional quantitative AI in some way, which is machine learning and data sciences models that we used to apply on shop floors and in manufacturing and in sales and marketing and so on. Right? See that about 10 percentage potential uplift of additional volumes is what it can actually bring through effective conversions, improved lead conversions that can actually happen, better discovery of business development when AI can meaningfully be deployed in the hands of the sales and marketing personnel who actually go and visit the field and meet customers and so on and so forth. Right? Some effective improvements that it can also lead to is in direct material cost in manufacturing. How effectively are we going to reduce the cost of direct material? About 3% saving in indirect material cost is the potential opportunity that we've kind of discovered. And if meaningfully deployed, this is something that we can actually unlock for the organization. Similar application in improvement of yield, throughput, quality defects, the amount of upstream predictive quality use cases that can actually create. We actually see an upward potential of more than 20-25% reduction in quality deviations that can happen in manufacturing processes as well. So huge amount of potential. The application of it is also something that we are already leveraging. Also maintenance, we are a asset heavy industry. So upkeep of assets, asset health, availability of asset is a very big part of productivity in manufacturing for us. So how do we bring in predictiveness to the reliability of assets in manufacturing is also a very big part of operational efficiency for us too.
One challenge, again, across sectors is ROI, and how does the management convince itself to deploy ROI so as to get return on investments? What are you telling companies? What is the proposal you give them? Of course, it's long term, it won't happen tomorrow. But overall, what kind of a picture, what kind of a proposal, what kind of suggestions do you give them when it comes to ROI?
Yeah,
Vinod, of course.
yeah. No, I think that's a very good question. I think the first, see, the basics will not change, whether it is AI related investment or other. If I'm sitting on the board on the other side, I would always ask for a barrier which is very high to give me the ROI from the perspective of my stakeholders, shareholders, etc. So that's a broad brush. But where I need to change my perspective is that what I'm investing is not like the capex that I see in front of us, the physical capex. This is like a soft capex, right? So first of all, can I change my approach from looking at the expenditure or let's say investments on AI and related such technologies from the perspective of an expense versus an actual investment? you ask for an ROI, but are you viewing it as a capital expenditure? Just that the way you will view it, you means the management or the boardroom, the board of directors would look at, let's say, in the same way as they would look at as building of a new mine or a new steel plant. I think
Hmm.
that perspective needs to come, because this is exactly important for you to enhance the efficiency of your operations, as a new addition or capex would be needed, either brownfield or greenfield, to enhance your operation. So my perspective needs to become that. Second, having developed that perspective, I should be doubling down in terms of the bar that is raised very high, right? And the third is, um, I mean, I have to cut the hype from reality, right? And the onus is on those who are presenting a case for ROI, and equally on those who are approving those use cases.
Got it. Right. Srihari, let me, put on my journalist's cap for just a moment and ask you, and correct me if I'm wrong in my homework, but I believe JSW's AI-led predictive maintenance platform is now live across 10 of your platforms. Are you comfortable telling me, what is the way forward, and, how do we see that sort of expanding, spreading, being used in other aspects, other plants?
Two aspects is what we are doing in order to drive this strategy. One is to use IoT enabled sensorization to understand condition based monitoring. This is what I think some of your researchers kind of told you that about 10 plus manufacturing plants is where we are using this very, very effectively. In fact, as we speak now, we have 15,000 plus sensors that are installed in more than 6,000 of our critical equipment that do sub-second diagnosis of health of the equipment, both in terms of vibration, in terms of heat, in terms of energy, power consumption, and so on and so forth, which are proxy to the condition of the equipment itself. It could be moving equipment, rotational equipment, and so on and so forth. So this is a condition-based predictive maintenance strategy that we are deploying, and there is a long way to go. There is at least three times more amount of sensors that we can deploy to get the complete footprint connected to the grid and constantly be proactive around what is the asset condition at any point in time. The second part is a lot more holistic. It's what we call an asset digital twin. And this is not just about sensorizing to understand certain variables of an equipment to understand what's the condition of the equipment, but also to build a true digital replica of a physical equipment. So, which means that we are able to tap into what an OEM of that equipment is able to give as part of a level 1 or a level 2 system in terms of all operation parameters, alongside additional sensorization that we have done to be able to create and simulate conditions of the equipment in a digital world, right? So both the condition-based proactive maintenance as well as the ability to create a digital twin of our high-value assets together come together and actually improve the overall predictive maintenance strategy for us.
Got it. How challenging is data reliability? I mean, so we just had an episode, we just had another conversation on AI in pharma, and there too, data is absolutely messy, unorganized, and what have you. No different in manufacturing. How challenging is that, and how is JSW sort of overcoming that challenge?
Yeah, I think if we look at industrial AI, which is the crux of the conversation today,
Yeah.
because unlike generative AI that we are using in personal spaces, where there's a huge amount of data that we are able to assemble by crawling through publicly available information in some way. Industrial AI is very specific to a process that's happening in a very specific manufacturing unit on a specific line on a specific product and so on, so the specific SKU. And a lot of historical knowledge of behavior, what led to what breakdowns, what led to what quality defects, what led to what extent of yield or throughput on that particular product SKU, is only possible through effective machine learning modeling or AI if there is access to real-time updated dependable data, right? So having a very strong data strategy for not just enterprise data lake, which is financial information or customer 360, account 360, and so on, but having a very effective OT data strategy or operations technology manufacturing data strategy is also very important in order to create digital maturity and also effective industrial AI application as well. And there are several challenges because the ecosystem of partners with which we work for in manufacturing comes through several OEMs which are in automation layer, several equipment manufacturers who have built the equipment turnkey and supplied to us from different parts of the world. Each one of them have their own protocols for communication, exchanging data. This is also an era where security is paramount, and hence a lot of thinking around industrial uh, machine manufacturers, which have embedded microsystems and also a lot of digital aspect to the equipment itself. One of the prescribed methodology is to isolate the equipment from the grid, and that is the best way to protect the equipment from being attacked or hacked in some way, right? While that serves a purpose of isolating so that the no matter what kind of malware or ransomware attack happens to the organization, the manufacturing line doesn't become susceptible to that kind of an attack. That strategy works, but it's also in some way detrimental to the overall AI adoption curve and also digital transformation curve. So I think we'll have to find an effective balance on how do we work with different automation partners, equipment manufacturers, and the protocols, and also the how do we scale the barrier of security and find a balance between in a secure environment, how are we going to pipe data out and contextualize that data in order to create an ecosystem and also a good data governance strategy in order to say that how do we provide secure contextualized data access to data scientists who are trying to now leverage models and deploy models on statistical behavior of a product on an equipment or a statistical behavior of reliability of an equipment and so on, and then be
Right.
able to give insight and guidance to operators and maintenance engineers and so on and so forth to truly unlock the
Got it.
value from AI. Right? So there are challenges, and it's an ensemble of many things that need to come together to ensure that there is good data governance to truly unlock the power of AI in industrial AI.
Sure, sure. Final question to the two of you. Never before was the argument, the debate between automation and labor arbitrage more critical as it is now. Um, every industry is fearing and counting on rationalization of workforce. Do you see that happening in manufacturing as well, Vinod?
Yeah, I think that debate goes decades back, right? I mean, and every time a new technology has come, people have said that, the jobs will be gone. One thing is for sure, no one has ever been able to stop the march of a technology whose time has come, right? Every time you can see the history. But at the same time, we just remember that jobs have not gone down, jobs have increased. The nature of jobs have changed, right? And I think I'm very optimistic that things that we are doing currently. But new probabilities, the human ingenuity will always win, is my view. Because at the end of the day, they'll keep on developing new things, right? Uh, so that is not going to go away, and hence I think there will be more jobs created. Let's say more money in the hands of entrepreneurs, leaders, industry leaders to invest in newer things, which create more jobs at the same time. So I would not look at, or even in otherwise in support processes, I would look at them as co-workers. And there's no difference. The co-workers with different sets of abilities and capabilities, but working together to create that value would be very, very very critical. So future is, I'm very optimistic about the future actually, and I'm not saying this just as a figment of imagination. I've seen the practitioner, I've seen Srihari in actually going about implementation on a day-to-day basis in a very practical manner. So we're not creating something in the air, but on the ground, and in a way that it creates bright future for our next generations as well. I'm very optimistic.
Right, right. Srihari, AI human coexistence in the next 5 years. How do you see it?
Yeah. So I think we'll go back to the question with which we started, and I think what you were trying to understand is if the contribution of manufacturing to the overall GDP has to be one quarter of the overall GDP, then how will it happen? And it will definitely not happen by trying to protect the jobs of today. It will definitely happen because we have more manufacturing, we have more product manufacturing, we have more industries that are being set up, and I see that as a challenge because if you look at mainstream engineering graduates that are coming into manufacturing workforce today, Over the last 15 years or so in Indian engineering ecosystem, the number of people who are graduating from engineering work streams like mechanical, instrumentation, electrical, electronics, etc., and how many of them have actually come into core manufacturing industries but have gone into tech sectors like IT and IT services and so on and so forth. So I think if the aspiration for us as a country to grow in manufacturing and have significant contributions to the GDP, then I think if AI and other automation technologies, if they are not meaningfully leveraged to replace certain amount of tasks, and when I say jobs, it's not actually replacement of a human who's completely doing work, right? It's actually a certain amount of tasks which are defined as jobs, which individuals of today's current generation find it very, very repetitive and non-creative and boring, etc. And that's one of the reasons why uh, the generation of today, which you are graduating, are not wanting to come into manufacturing. So, what is the opportunity that we have with us? What is the opportunity of AI-enabled humanoids or robots, etc., actually coming in and taking up repetitive tasks that are essential for scaling manufacturing? And how do we redefine the nature of a job? What's a new job description for an individual who wants to enter manufacturing sector? And how does that job description be attractive enough for the generation of graduates who want to take up manufacturing again and want to further manufacturing within the country? I think that's the challenge that we really need to solve for, and the kind of skill shortage that we will have for is what we really have to solve for. So there's absolutely no fear of job losses. There is an opportunity here to redefine the job description of people who are entering manufacturing sector, so that manufacturing can be glamorous again. Manufacturing can actually be a sought after field for graduates of today's to come into mainstream manufacturing. And hence, redefining the job description of individuals who are entering manufacturing, and making sure that AI and AI enabled robots and humanoids, etc., actually contribute towards repetitive tasks that make manufacturing not so glamorous for current generation to enter manufacturing industry. Effective use of AI in manufacturing and industries is one of the significant leverage that we should all ensure that it is adopted well, so that the promise and the expectation from manufacturing to make a significant contribution to the GDP of the country can become a reality. So I actually see AI and humans coexisting, and AI having becoming a significant contributor to the expectations that the country has from manufacturing towards the contribution. So I am very, very aspirational about it, very committed to that becoming a reality.
So, on that clear, candid note, we wind up this conversation. Vinod, Srihari, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Srihari. Bye.
Thank you, Anirban.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having us over. Thank you.